everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I've been married to a covert narcissist for almost 20 years. I'm separated from him now, and what I do with this channel is I use my real life experiences to get information out there to people about what narcissism really is, what it looks like, what it does to you, and what it does to your family. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some common reasons that people stay in narcissistic relationships. When you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you are in a relationship with somebody who is definitely mentally and possibly physically abusing you. Narcissists purposely manipulate, confuse, and control their partners. They mess with your ability to do what is best for yourself. And in some ways, society conditions you to accept this type of behavior. If you've ever heard it said that if you're in, say, a school or a building and there's an active shooter, that you should shelter in place, hell no. That's the absolute worst thing that you can do. If you shelter in place, you really are essentially a sitting duck waiting to be a victim. Now, I don't have ducks, but I do have backyard chickens, and chickens are very similar to ducks in this way. When you hear sitting ducks, it's really true. My chickens don't free range. I have them in our chicken run. So I have my coop that they sleep in at night, and then I have the chicken run attached to it. I always call it the Fort Knox of chicken runs because it's double wired. Nothing can get in there. It's really secure. I have a double roof over it. It would be very difficult for a predator to get in there. However, they still try. I have 40 acres of woods behind me, so I have had come right up to my chicken run. Foxes, hawks, owls, weasels, raccoons, dogs, fisher cats. Hawks will go right on the ground and try to get their claws right in there to grab a chicken. They're dangerous, and I've seen this happen many times. So typically what will happen is all of a sudden I'll be in the house and I'll hear this ruckus. I'll hear the chickens freaking out, and I look outside or I go outside and the chickens are running in circles inside the run, and there's some predator circling around the run trying to find a way in. Eventually what will happen is the chickens will become exhausted and they will just sit. They don't try to get away. They don't try to escape. Chickens can fly. They're not good flyers, but they can fly. I have like bars hanging from the top of my chicken run because I was hoping that if a predator came, they would fly up and they would be safe from, some of the predators that could maybe get in there. No, they don't do that. They just sit there in a heap waiting to be a victim. If I didn't have the Fort Knox of chicken runs, and if I wasn't willing to protect them with a firearm, they would be eaten easily. They would just wait. They wouldn't even try to protect themselves. They wouldn't try to peck them. They would just sit there and be eaten one by one. So if you are in a building with a shooter and you are sheltering in place, you are doing exactly what those chickens are doing. You're just sitting there in a heap with a bunch of other people waiting to be a victim. In anything, you have to participate in your own freedom. If you just sit there, you're going to just have to hope that the shooter runs out of ammunition, or the cop gets them first, or they don't see you. That is not a way to protect yourself. Now, my kids and I go to a shooting range occasionally. Now, I'm not a great shot. I'm average probably. But when you're at the shooting range, you're relaxed. So I'm there. I'm not stressed out. So I'll buy these little paper men, right? So you have this person and you put it on this little conveyor belt type of thing, and you can move it back and forth. So typically when I start, it's about 20 feet away. So I'm there. I'm relaxed. I'm not stressed out at all. And I'm trying to shoot this paper man right in the chest. It's not easy. Even when I'm totally relaxed, the person's not moving. It's a stationary piece of paper and I'm 20 feet away. So very typically I'll hit the shoulder, or I'll miss completely, or I'll get their ear or even their leg. I mean, that's happened before too. It's not easy. And then you can push it back. So I'll start at 20 feet, but it can go 50 feet back. When it's 50 feet back, it's so hard. I don't think I've ever shot one in the chest when it was 50 feet away. 20 feet away I have, but not most of the shots. So if you see my paper man afterwards, the shot's all over it. It's not like, oh, they're all in the center. And granted, I'm not like a professional. I'm not like a great shot. I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm really, really good. I'm not. But I do practice on a regular basis. A lot of times these shooters, that shoot people up, they're not going to the range practicing. They're buying a gun yesterday, going to the school tomorrow, and they have no practice. So it's going to be very difficult. If you are running away, if you jump out the window and you zigzag run away, it's going to be almost impossible for them to shoot you. But if you are sitting in a heap of people, it's going to be very easy for the person to shoot you because you're an easy target. You're right there, and there's a whole mass of people. So even if they don't get you, they're going to get somebody else. This is how it is when you are in a relationship with a narcissist. If you just stay in the relationship and hope that maybe when they come home from work today, they're not going to give you the silent treatment, or maybe this weekend they'll be in a good mood, maybe they won't drink too much, maybe they won't drive drunk with the kids, maybe they won't cheat on me this time. This is essentially what you're doing. You're being a sitting duck. In order to have a happy life, in order to have freedom, you need to assess the situation logically. So just like if you're in a building with an active shooter, you need to get out. You don't want to sit with a bunch of other people in the corner of a room and hope for the best. You need to have an active participation in your recovery. Now, please understand when I say this, I'm not blaming victims at all, not even in the slightest bit. I was with my ex for 20 years, so I'm not sitting here telling you, oh, well, as soon as I discovered who he was, I was out of there. I didn't let anybody treat me badly. That's not true at all. So I'm telling you, from my own experience, after 20 years, I have learned the hard way, and this is what my channel is about. I want people to understand that there is no hope in a narcissistic relationship. And I don't want to discourage people or hurt people. I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm trying to be an optimist, really. What I want to tell you is that you can do better for yourself. You can get out. You can have freedom. You don't have to stay in this relationship. There's some common reasons that people stay in these relationships. One of the reasons that people stay in these relationships, and this is a big one, is called confirmation bias. This is when you interpret evidence as confirmation of your existing beliefs. So you prioritize information that supports what you already believe, what you want to think. So you see what you want to see, basically, is what confirmation bias is. So in my situation, my ex loved the silent treatment. He would give me the silent treatment, and I'm telling you, it has scarred me to this day. Silent treatment is no joke. To people who aren't familiar with it, it really seems like nothing. So he's ignoring you, just ignore him back. It isn't like that. When you're given the silent treatment, it affects the same area in your brain that registers physical pain. So you're feeling it as physical pain. It's traumatizing. And the longer it goes on, the worse it is. So my ex would give this to me. I mean, he gave me a silent treatment one time for 7 months. You don't think that messed me up? I mean, that was torture, literally torture. After a silent treatment, what would happen is and even during the silent treatment, I would tell him, I'm so hurt. I'm really hurting. I would cry in front of him. He didn't care. So he's showing me exactly how he feels. After a silent treatment, he would say to me, well, yeah, I did that because I just didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to talk to you. I would interpret that as, oh my goodness, he's so bad at communicating. He doesn't want to be this way. He wanted to communicate with me. He just didn't know how. Poor thing. I mean, this is essentially what I was thinking. So he was abusing me right in front of my face. I mean, I was blind to it. I interpreted the actual abuse as, poor thing, and then I would feel bad for him and almost take it on myself. Well, maybe I could love him more. Maybe I could teach him how to communicate. Maybe I could do this. No, he gave me the silent treatment, but I refused to see it. I didn't see it. I was blind to it, and I felt bad for him after he abused me. This is what happens in these relationships. You blame yourself for somebody else abusing you. Now, another thing that can happen on the same vein as confirmation bias is that you believe in the 1% of narcissists who will change. Now, I mentioned this in my last video, but I didn't say this. I mentioned the 1% in my last video, but I didn't state this, so I'm just going to say it now. I don't believe that 1% of narcissists change. I don't believe narcissists ever change. I believe that narcissism is a permanent condition. I have tried to find the narcissist who has changed, any narcissist who has changed. And if I found one narcissist who changed, that is not 1% a narcissist. That is not 1 out of 100 if I find one, when there are millions of narcissists out there. But I haven't even found one, none. There's no narcissist that has been documented to be a narcissist, a serious, a real narcissist, not somebody that had a few narcissistic traits and outgrew them. I mean a person that has narcissistic personality disorder and now they don't. Now they're a loving spouse. This person doesn't exist, but you believe it. You believe my narcissist is going to be that 1%. And I think that probably Every single person, when they first find out about narcissism, believes that they have that 1%. You think, all right, my narcissist is going to change. The narcissist has given you no reason to believe this, but you still think it. You hope for it. You know it. I know it. If I just love them enough, my narcissist is going to change. They're going to become the perfect spouse. Nothing is showing you this, but you still believe it. So that is confirmation bias. This is one of the reasons that people stay in these relationships. You have hope that things will change despite there being no evidence. Now, another reason that people stay in these relationships, and this is another big one, is that you don't want to give up on a relationship that you've invested in, especially long term. You might have been in the relationship for 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe you have kids, you have a home. Oh, it's going to be such a pain to divide everything up. Or, I've already put so much time in this. I'm so old. Oh, I'm in my 40s now, 50s, 60s, whatever it is. It's too late for me to start over. It's never too late, ever. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how old you are. You don't know how long you have to live. Maybe you're going to die tomorrow. Maybe you're going to live another 40 years. It doesn't matter. If you are in a relationship with an abusive person, you can't stay in the relationship. And I understand it's terrifying. It's scary. And people make up a million excuses. Everybody does this. But at some point, if you want to be happy, you cannot be attached to an abusive person. You have to love yourself more. I invest money for my kids in the stock market. So there's this one particular stock that I invested in, and it's doing really well. I bought most of the shares at $50. It's going now for $175. So it's so exciting. And the kids and I are like, oh my gosh, look how much this is going up. This is so fun. This is so great. So it's a wonderful thing, and we're all enjoying this. Imagine if that same stock was going lower. So, I bought it at $50 a share. Now it's going for $20 a share. Would it really make sense for me to hold on to it and hope against hope? At some point, I'm going to have to say, all right, we're going to have to sell this. Because it's $50. Now it's $45. Now it's $37. I see it going down and down and down. At some point, I need to salvage the money that I can get out of the stock instead of just stubbornly adhering to it. No, it's going to do better. I know it's going to do better. It's going to change at any time, and then another month goes by and now it's at $15. At some point, you have to cut your losses. You can't just hope. You can't just be so optimistic in an abusive person believing they're going to change when this entire time they've done nothing to make you think that they're going to change. Maybe they've given you some words. Maybe they've told you that they're going to change. But if you don't see any evidence in that, you just like with the stock, I couldn't just keep holding on to it. It's fun when the stock goes up, but when it goes down, you also have to be realistic. This is an investment. Your marriage is an investment. It's an investment in your future, in your happiness. So if your marriage is bringing you no happiness, you need to consider that. I'm not saying that you should just willy-nilly say, oh, whatever, I'm going to just dump my marriage because I'm not happy this month. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about when there is a sustained level of torture, when there's a sustained level of manipulation, when over many years you are with somebody who is systematically destabilizing your happiness. They are destroying your life. You don't owe them anything. Marriage is important, and I don't take marriage vows lightly, but when the other person is not keeping to their marriage vows, you owe yourself. You need to put yourself first. You need to think about what's best for you, what's best for your children. So many people think, and I did this too, so I understand, well, it's better for my kids to be raised with two parents. If you're in a relationship where one of the people is a narcissist, they don't have two parents. They have one frazzled parent, one parent who is not doing their best. A parent on their own can do the job of two. Now, granted, that's no joke, but it can be done. A single family household, one parent can raise happy, productive children by themselves when they're not encumbered by an abusive spouse. It can happen. It's been documented. It's very possible. You have to love yourself more. Another reason, of course, is that your self-esteem is destroyed. You downplay the abuse, especially if it isn't physical. This is a big thing. People don't believe they're being abused if they're not being beaten. You are being abused if you are with somebody that consistently puts you down, that's giving you the silent treatment, that is making you walk on eggshells, that is betraying you at every turn. That is abuse. Your spouse owes you something. Your spouse owes you respect. Your spouse owes you love. I mean, they just do. Think about what you give to the marriage. Are you getting that back? My personal belief in a relationship is that you deserve what you are willing to give, what you have to give. So if you are showering love, affection, forgiveness on somebody who is giving you nothing but pain in return, what value is that for you? And I'm not trying to make a relationship just, something that isn't, like a physical thing, like, oh, well, like your relationship is an object. But it's true. If you are in a relationship and you're getting nothing back, you need to consider what is best for you. You only have one life. Now, the last reason that people stay that I'm going to mention is the cycle of abuse. So the cycle of abuse is when over and over there's this merry-go-round of somebody treating you horribly, then there being a honeymoon phase. Treating you horribly, honeymoon phase. Treating you horribly, honeymoon phase. And every single time you get this honeymoon phase, you believe, all right, this time it's going to be different. This time, this person is going to change. I know it. I can feel it. It's going to be different this time until they devalue you again. And then you live for the honeymoon phase. If this is you, if you realistically can see in your relationship that this has been happening, your relationship is only highs and lows. There's no consistency in the relationship. Your partner is either treating you fantastic because they're making up for the time they abused you, or they're abusing you. That is an abusive relationship. It doesn't matter how good the honeymoon phase is. There are some realities that you have to accept. So my point in this video, if you are in a relationship and you are not getting anything out of the relationship, you are putting everything in and all you're getting back is abuse, devalue. You feel horrible about yourself. You're always trying to make somebody else happy. You don't have any positives from the other person. You are in a relationship that you need to consider getting out of. What I would recommend, this is incredibly helpful because when you're in these relationships, your mind is like scrambled eggs. You don't know what's going on because you're so confused all the time. And this is intentional by the narcissist because they don't want you to leave. If the relationship is going to end, it's going to be because the narcissist wants to end it. They don't want you making any choices on your own. The narcissist wants to make every decision. So what I would recommend, if you believe, if you think, if you suspect that you might be in an abusive relationship, that your partner might be a narcissist, keep a journal. Now be careful with this journal though, because you don't want the narcissist to find it. Keep a journal and write down what's going on in your relationship day by day, or even if it's not day by day, when things happen. Then you can look at it, because your mind isn't going to help you when you're in an abusive relationship because the narcissist is manipulating you. But if you can see in black and white, okay, the narcissist cheated on me here. They lied to me here. They drove drunk with the kids here. Whatever it is, whatever they're doing. And maybe it's not to that extreme. Maybe it's just, they ignored me at dinner, or they promised me they were going to do this and then they didn't, or they ignored my birthday again, or they ruined this vacation, or we did this, or they didn't do that. Whatever it is, write it down, because then as you assess the relationship, you can go down and go through this journal and look, oh my gosh, this is what happened. Oh yeah, he did this here, or look what she did here. It helps you keep perspective. If you are going to leave a relationship like this, it's not easy, and you need to have perspective and you need to plan ahead. This isn't a relationship where you can just walk out the door tomorrow. I mean, if you can, more power to you, but typically you need to plan these things. You need to think about it, and this is the first step. Understanding the reality that you're in, understanding that you are in an abusive relationship, regardless of whether you are being physically beaten or not. Think about at the beginning of the video when I was talking about the active shooter. Do not be a sitting duck in your marriage. Do not just sit and hope and pray and wait for somebody else to change. Grab the bull by the horns and take the initiative in your own life. You will never regret it, ever. Every single person who has moved on from a narcissistic relationship, who has made a better life for themselves, doesn't regret it. For so long, I believed that I was stuck in my marriage. I didn't think I could get out. And the truth is that the only reason my relationship ended was because he made it impossible at the end to stay. I couldn't keep him in the house. I had to kick him out. He had tried to get me arrested. So it got to that point. So I'm not saying that I saw these things and I immediately took action. I didn't. But this already happened to me. I'm telling you, I'm asking you, please consider what is best for you, what is best for your children. Learn from me. You know, years ago, when that Sandy Hook shooting happened in Connecticut, my son is the same age as those children. The day that happened, I was so horrified. I was so traumatized because my son was that age. And I remember I just grabbed him and I just held on to him. And I was so grateful that he was alive, that I had my baby, that he was there and I could touch him and kiss him. It was real. I'll never forget that moment. I was traumatized when I found out what happened. And I had my living, breathing son in front of me. Look at that like your life. You know, people like me, there's other people that have already had to go through this. Don't do that. Grab onto your life. Hold your life. Kiss your life. Hug your life. It's your choice whether you stay or not. It's not your fault that you were abused, but it's your decision whether to leave or not. Only you can make the decision that is right for you and right for your kids, and your kids are counting on you. You're counting on yourself. The longer you stay, the harder it's going to be to leave. Thank you so much for watching this video. Very grateful for everybody who watches my videos. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and if all goes well, I'll see you on Monday, and I hope that everybody has a wonderful weekend. God bless you.